They remembered. Even after centuries passed, even as Earth grew into a technological superpower, and its influence spread like wildfire through the stars, humans remembered the kindness of a dying race who once saved them from extinction. It was the Volari, an ancient, peace-loving species with eyes like twin moons and voices that sang like rivers. When Earth had first reached out to the stars, broken, war-ravaged, and starving, most galactic civilizations had ignored their desperate signals. Some even mocked their weakness. But the Volari had responded. They had sent food, medicine, and knowledge. Not as lords. Not for profit. Simply because, as the Volari Chancellor had once said, compassion is what makes a species worthy of the stars. The Volari had no army. They didn't need one. Their worlds were protected by treaties and trust, and for centuries it was enough. Until the Dravari horde came. The Dravari were pirates turned emperors, a brutal species that believed in nothing but dominance. They struck fast and without warning, vaporizing Volari cities and enslaving survivors. They laughed when the Volari pleaded for peace. By the time the Galactic Council responded, it was too late. But Earth had already heard. And humans. Humans had not forgotten. When the news of the Volari genocide reached the Terran Assembly, President Elara Miles stood before the United Systems Congress. The room was silent. 300 years ago, she said, her voice trembling with controlled fury, the Volari gave us life. Today, they ask for nothing because they are no longer able to ask. She looked directly into the cameras, addressing the stars. But we will answer anyway. The first sign came at the edge of Dravari space. A Terran fleet emerged from the void, not sleek or graceful, like most galactic ships, but terrifying black armor plating, glowing red energy cores, railguns longer than city blocks. No diplomats, no warning, just a simple transmission. You hurt those who saved us. Now we repay our debt. In one coordinated strike, 12 Dravari outposts ceased to exist. The galaxy gasped. The Dravari laughed. Humans fight like savages, one Dravari overlord declared, sneering. They lack strategy, finesse. He was assassinated 2 hours later. Not with a drone. Not with a bomb. With a combat knife to the throat, delivered by a Terran commando who had somehow infiltrated his palace in the heart of a fortified moon. The message was clear. Nowhere was safe. It wasn't just military might. It was the way humans fought. They didn't negotiate once the line was crossed. They didn't bargain for resources or territory. They didn't retreat. They targeted slave camps, first liberating thousands of Volari survivors and other captured species. The rescued expected fear and brutality from the infamous humans. What they received instead was food, blankets, translators, and silence. A Terran Marine handed a trembling Volari child a stuffed toy. She blinked up at him, confused. "Why?" she whispered. His reply was simple. "Your people help mine. It's our turn." The Dravari panicked. They launched counterattacks, sacrificing thousands of their own to strike human colonies. Earth responded with calculated wrath. The siege of Rylath lasted less than 20 minutes. Terran drop pods punched through planetary shields like falling meteors. Entire battalions deployed in seconds, their exosuits humming with power. Civilians were spared. Soldiers were not. When Dravari High Command begged the Galactic Council for aid, most species remained silent. They had seen the broadcasts, the drone footage, the Terran medics crying over dead Volari children, the scorched ruins of refugee camps. They had also seen what humanity did next. The galaxy, once mocking Earth's emotional nature, now feared it more than any fleet. A year after the war began, the last Dravari fortress fell. Not to nuclear fire, but to silence. Terran forces had surrounded it. They broadcast one message: this is not vengeance, it is justice. Inside, they found documents, proof of centuries of trafficking, torture, conquest. Earth didn't keep the data classified. They streamed it live. The galaxy wept, and the humans watched. After the dust settled, a statue was unveiled in the ruins of the Valari capital. A human soldier, kneeling, offering a child a flower. Behind him stood a Valari elder, one hand resting on the soldier's shoulder. At its base, inscribed in every galactic language, were the words, "A debt repaid." The galaxy never looked at humans the same way again. They were not conquerors. They had taken no new planets, claimed no resources. When the war ended, Earth's fleets returned home. But everyone remembered the fire in their eyes, the grief, the fury, the love, and the promise. If humanity ever made a friend, they would bleed for them. But if you ever hurt that friend, the galaxy would shake in fear.